So welcome to part one of the student performance. This is basically a live video for just students. I've already put part two, so this is meant to be part one. So for most people, probably they didn't have any problems going through school, or for some people, I mean, I've heard people say that me, I didn't finish school and I still succeeded. But you know, there are people who are out there want to be able to do the academics very well, and I think it's important if you get a chance to be able to go to school. I think it's very important for you to be able to make sure that you finish your studies. So I just want to share a concept which really helped me a lot. Of course, I struggled at a certain part of my studies. I actually took 6 years in 2 classes early in my education, and I think I almost gave up. But anyway, I'm here today. So now, let me share with you a few ideas which really have been able to transform my life. And today I'm just going to be able to share one concept. Most of you have heard about the Pareto principle. The Pareto principle in application, it says that 80% of the results come from 20% of the input. It also says that if you're in business, if you do a business, it also states that 80% of the profits come from 20% of the products. 80% of the revenue comes from 20% of the clients. And in business, we focus on applying, making sure that we get this 20% of the products which produce the 20% of the products which produce 80% of the profit. If you're in consultancy, you focus on getting the 20% of the clients who will be able to give you 80% of the profit. So that being the case, this principle can also be able to apply in education. So that's why I said that this video is basically meant for students. Now, there is a study I've been doing with a friend, and this is something I applied earlier in my studies. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing, but then later on, I've come to discover that this is what really be able to change my life, and this is what we call the Pareto content survey. Just trying to find out in education, because the same principles take us across. What are the 20% of the topics which bring 80% of the exam? What are the 20% of the areas which give 80% of the problems to students? So I just want to do the introduction, but the breakdown of this is on video 2, which is already live. So you should be able to check that on the page. So my friend and I did a study just to be able to find out what is working and what is not working. And why I'm doing this simply is because the students who are going back to school in a few days' time, and we want, when these students go back, since it's that time, they need to do the exams and pass. That's why I decided to share this. So you analyze your performance, just trying to find out what are the 20% of the topics which contribute to 80% of the exam. What are the 20% of the areas or topics which give you 80% of the problems? Because the same Pareto principle applies. Pastor Gumba, good to see you, man. Yeah, so we do that by, we draw this table here. You'll be able to see it probably if you've seen video 1. But we draw this table here just to make sure that you see it clearly. Is that visible? Yeah, so we draw this table here and we divide it into 3 categories. Here we have the number. Here we have whether you got the question right or wrong. Here we have the topic where the question is coming from. And here we have true. Now, true stands for time. R stands for rules. U stands for understanding. E stands for expression. So when you're doing this as a student, or even if you're a teacher and you want to be able to help your students be able to pass, you should be able to take them through this process, because it's a discovery process, helping your students be able to understand why are they failing and which are the topics they should be able to focus on when it comes to the exams. So you find that here you write the number of the question. Is it question 1? And now the next level you write, did the students get the question right? Did they get the question wrong? Or did they get half a mark? Because there's some questions which, I mean, there's part 1, part 2, part 3, like that. Then on the 3rd column here, you decide which topic the questions come from. Then here you write, if they got the question wrong, then it's probably because of time. It's probably because of rules, it's because of understanding, it's because of expression. So now you go through that, process, just being able to list and finding out where is the student finding problems, where they get the question wrong. So do that for question 1, do that for question 2, do that for question 3, do that for question 4, do that for question 5. So you'll be able to find that this is what you've discovered, and as you do this, you'll also be able to find out some things which probably we discovered also. So we discovered that you might find that question 1 and question 3 and question 5 come from the same topic. Now that tells you that, and we've done this for national exams and drop exams. Now that tells you that teachers or examiners tend to set questions from similar topics. And if you know the topics which are bringing 80% of the exam, then you are liberated, So you know that I can be, if I focus on this, then I'm going to be able to do very well. Now you'll also find that if you missed question 1, you missed question 3, you missed question 5, which means that you are having problems with this topic. So you're going to be able to begin discovering some similarities on the questions that come in the exam and the questions that give you problems. So on video 2, and of course you'll also be able to understand why are you getting the question wrong, because you'll find that there's similarities. It's probably because you've got a challenge in time, you've got a challenge in understanding in rules, you've got a challenge in expression, you've got a challenge in expression. So now this will help you to be able to, as a student, as you get started, to make sure that you know you're focusing on those topics which are more likely to contribute to your efforts, to the final exam, and you're putting more effort on those topics which are giving you problems. Because the more we study something, the more we understand. So just to be able to know what you're supposed to do next after this, I would encourage you, check on a video which I did a few minutes earlier. It's called part 2 of this video, but this was just meant for introduction. So I hope this helps students, and as you go out there to your third term exams, or you just begin a new academic journey, I wish you all the best as you learn, and wishing you well. Do your best, don't fail, don't give excuses, always go for the best. The same applies to entrepreneurs, I think. Since I'm an entrepreneur and I've been a student also, I think that when you decide to do something, do that analysis and find out what is working for you, what does not work. Which are the areas which are really giving you profit and which are giving you losses. And if it's clients, what are the 20% of the clients which give you 80% of the profit? If you're in physical products, if you're dealing with physical products, find out what are the 20% of the products which give you 80% of the profit. So I think that's it. To check the rest, I would encourage you to check on the next video and part 2 of this video, and I hope this really blesses you and helps you to be able to perform very well. To the students, whether you're doing exams in KCP, KCSE, or whatever exams you're doing, I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. If comfortable.